Hello guys. Welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Jacob, and yeah, those are my details. You can email or WhatsApp if you need tutoring. Okay, so we are doing grade 12 calculus today, and the topic we are focusing on is first principle. And I'm sure you are familiar with that equation of first principle. This is the equation you have in on your formula sheet for exam or your maths formula sheet. So okay, so we know that h is directly below the limit there, but because of the format I was using, I could get that. Okay, without wasting any time, let's get started. So first we have to know, when do we use first principle? When? How do you know you have to use first principle? Number one, if question specifically states to use first principle. So the question might, you see this thing of talking and writing. If the question states that you should use first principle. Number two, which is important, if you are required to differentiate using definition of derivative. So if they say use definition of derivative, you should know they refer to first principle. So now what are we going to do in this question? It's to solve different types of question you can get for first principle, right? So we will do your normal exponent one equations and quadratic and cubic. Then we also do a fraction, because I've noticed students struggle with fractions, right? Because those are basics we chose to forget, some of us, right? Okay, here okay, so let's start with our formula. Remember, the question will ask you to determine the derivative by first principle or definition of derivative. So we know okay, sorry, this keeps on making weird sound. Let me put it on a firm ground. There. So this is a type of questions we are going to do. Number one, if you are given a normal question, let's say 2x. Number two, let's say 3x squared. Number three, let's say x cubed. So I'm trying to keep it as simple as possible. Then number four, let's say 1 over 3x, like that. So guys, remember, the question can come in many ways. It can be, because you have to know how they can ask you a question. They can say determine f of x, or they can say determine the derivative of y respect to x, or they can just say determine derivative of x, or they can say determine derivative of sorry, small letter d, derive x of the function f of x. So it can come that way, or derive x of the function y, but they will state if you have to use definition of derivative of first principle. You have to know that. So now what's important, guys, especially if you are dealing with quadratic or cubic, when I was in school, I used to do it like one time, but I think the best way, if you know you are a person with mistakes, is to first determine this on the site. But there are people, there are a lot of people can just do it on the same formula, right? So let's work on it. Let's start with the first one, 2x. So let's say you are given, they can say y equals 2, or they can say f of x equals 2, and they say derive that by using first principle. So guys, the good thing is we already know the answer because we know the laws of differentiation, which in your books they call them, wait, I wrote them somewhere, they say rules for differentiation, right? We know. How do we differentiate this if we use our normal, if we don't use first principle? We know the law says if you have x exponent n, your derivative will be n x exponent n minus 1. So you see what happened there. So if I have 2x, what is my n? My n is 1 there. So which means my answer is 2 times 1, which is n. Okay, let me say a here. So a is any constant. So a multiplies that exponent, which is 2 times 1, which is 2. Then x exponent what? N minus 1, which is 0. Then we know anything exponent 0 is 2, right? We know that rule. If you're not familiar with this, watch another video I've made on just the rules of differentiation. But in this video we only focus on first principle. But what I wanted to highlight is that the good thing is we are working towards an answer we already know, right? So at the end, you're also encouraged, or you are motivated that you got it correct, right? So what do they mean when they say f of x plus h? So we start here. This likes. So if I have, so always start with the formula. So now notice something. We have f of x. It's a function of x, right? We already know what that is. It's given to us. It's 2x. So this will be 2x. What is f of x plus h? What is the difference between f of x plus h and f of x? The difference is that now your x is replaced with x plus h. So where there was x, you're going to put x plus h. Like this. You see? Then after that, you go down with it. Don't forget the limit remains there until you use it. So if you multiply inside your bracket, I'll have 2x plus 2h. Then 2x all over h. So I'm sure when we are here, we can see what happens. 2x and 2x cancels. We are left with 2h over h. So the h and h cancels. We are left with 2. Right, we didn't use the limit. There was no need, right? But when we do other questions, you will see. Excuse me. The limit will be used. So we knew the answer is 2, right? And this was easy. So now let's try another question. The 3x squared. So we have determine this by first principle. So this is what I was saying. If you have a complicated equation like this, the best thing you can do for yourself is to determine f of x plus h on separately. So which means where there is x, you are going to replace with x plus h. You see, we had x squared, now it's x plus h squared. So now you can work through that. You know x plus h, if it's squared, it means two. It's two of the same brackets, right? It's two of them. If it's squared, if it's cubed, it's three of them. So now this is what you do. You multiply your bracket. We know we're going to get x squared plus 2xh plus h squared. The 2xh is if I multiply x and h, that side, this is x and h, then they add, they are like terms, right? Or they are the same term, so we get 2xh. So if you want to do it step by step, you can do it step by step. Then after that, we multiply inside the bracket. We have this 2 times 3, it's 6. We have 3h squared. You see, now you are done with the difficult part. Now you can, but guys, if you do it, make sure it's part of the question. Don't do it on a scribbler anyway, because there's marks for that. So if you do it next to the question, it's still okay, but don't do it on the scribbler and not include it in the question, right? So now remember, if you derive, start with your formula. There's no need to rush. If you are doing everything correct, there is no time you are chasing. The time you are given, it's enough, right? So relax. So we already determined f of x plus h, which is this, right? So this is what I'm going to put there. Minus f of x, which is 3x squared. So do you see what happens? 3x squared will cancel 3x squared. This will cancel this. When you're right, guys, I don't think it's necessary to cancel things. I think they make your equations untidy, right? So yeah, but if it's your best way of seeing how the question is done, you can do it, right? So now when we are here, the main objective is to make sure you don't have that h at the bottom or the denominator, because if you substitute 0 for that h, you're going to get undefined, because as your function approaches h, we need to know what that value is. If you substitute 0 there, because anything divided by 0 is undefined, so the main purpose is to make sure you cancel h. So if you check at the top, we have h, which is common. We have 3h, but we don't need 3h, we just need h, right? So we just leave the 3. So here I'll have 6x plus 3h over h. So I'll just continue here because I don't want to add another page. So limit h 0, so I'm left with 6x plus 3h. So now you can apply your limit. You can say if my h is 0, my answer will only be 6x, which we already know. If you derive 3x squared, you say 3 times 2, you get 6. You subtract 1 from that exponent, you get only x, so which is 6x. I hope that's clear. Let's do the third one. I have x cubed. Again, it's up to you guys. You can do it on the side or you can do it part of the equation. But for x cubed, I really suggest you do it on the side, because you're gonna need 3 brackets, right? So on space for x, I'm going to put x plus h cubed. What does this mean? I think there are people who can just do this who can just expand that bracket as a cube. For me, I don't know if there's I don't know that trick, so I have to do it step by step. So the easy way to do it is deal with two brackets first, which if I do those two brackets there, I'll have x squared plus 2xh plus h squared. Next step, you take x, you multiply everything that side. So x and x squared, I get x cubed. X and 2x h, I get 2x squared h. X and h squared, I get x h squared. I'm done with x. Now I'm taking h. H and x squared, I get x squared h. And h and 2x h, I'm getting 2x h squared. Then h and h squared, I'm getting h cubed. Sorry for that space. So now let's check if we have like terms to add together. I think it's always wise to combine like terms. So I can see x cubed is alone. X squared h, I have 2x squared h and 1x squared h. So I'll have 3x squared h. Then xh squared, I have 1xh squared and 2xh squared. Then I have 3xh squared plus h cubed. If you did that correctly, you are almost done. You're like 90% done. Now we can go to our answer. Don't forget the formula, it's very important. Okay, so as h approaches 0, we have answer for fx plus h, which is x cubed plus 3x squared h plus 3xh squared plus h cubed. Then that's our f of x plus h. Then we subtract f of x, which is x squared, x cubed, sorry, over h. Then guys, there are other steps you can skip, like we know this will cancel this, right? Then from what's remaining, we can see we have h on every term. So if I take out h on the first term, I'll be left with only 3x squared. If I take out h on the second term, I'll be left with only a single h, which is 3x h. If I take out h from the last term there, which h cubed, I'll be left with h squared all over h. So now what happens? This one you don't have to skip. You can write it to show that I'm left with this. Then last step, what's the answer? It's 3x squared. I don't think you have to show substituting 0, but let's just be safe. Let's substitute it. I don't think it's necessary, but if we substitute 0 here, anything multiplied by 0, it's 0. Then we can see your final answer is only 3x squared, and we knew the answer there. If I have x cubed was going to multiply 1, which is before your x there, which will give me 3. Then if you say 3 minus 1, I get exponent 2, 3x squared. Okay, our video is already 20 minutes. That's too long. Let's do the last one quick. The last one we had 1 over 3x. So I have f of x 1 over 3x. So guys, with fractions, you don't have to do the f of x plus h on the side, because it's only one step. After that, there's nothing else you can do. So you can do everything on your formula. So this by first principle. You see how I always write the same formula. I don't get tired, because it's necessary. You have to write it the same way you have to write this limit all the way down. Okay, so what's our formula for f of x plus h? It's 1 over 3x. So what we are going to do, we are going to put x plus h where there's x, minus f of x, which is 1 over 3x, all over h. So some people, they write it like this. They put that 1 over h on the side, then they put the x plus h minus 1 over 3x, like this. It's how you prefer it, it's fine. I prefer writing it this way, the way I did on my workout today. Okay, then we have, before everything, we multiply by 3. All over h. Now, next step. Okay, I think I should go to another page for this one. We have limit h0. So guys, how do you do a fraction? Remember, if I have, let's say, a over b minus c over d, you have to what? First, you cross multiply a and d, which gives me ad. Then you say minus is that sign you have there. Then b and c give me cd. Then the denominators, you multiply them together as common denominator, get bd. That's what we are going to do. So we're going to say 1 and 3x, which will give me 3x, then minus 3x plus h times 1. Because there's minus there, make sure you put a bracket because it's going to affect this. Then the denominator will be 3x times 3x plus 3h, because you multiply them together, all over h. Don't forget you still have that h, right? Now, step by step, we can deal with our minus. If we multiply minus on that bracket, we have minus 3x minus 3h. If we go below on that bracket, we have 3x squared plus, or not 3x squared, 9x squared. 9x squared plus 9xh. Then I can take that 1 over h and put it here to make my calculation easier. Now you can leave it as over h. Now what happens at the top? 3x and 3x cancels. I'll be left with minus 3h. Then I'll be left with 9x squared plus 9xh times 1 over h. So we can see that h is going to cancel this h, right? Then what do I have? Minus 3 over 9x squared plus 9xh. Now, if I'm going to skip the step where you substitute 0. So if I substitute 0 on h, this whole thing is going to be 0. So now my answer will be minus 3 over 9x squared. What is 3 over 9? It's 1 over 3. So I have minus 1 over 3x squared. Which is the answer we knew. How did we know this answer? Let me do it on the side. Because we were given equation which is 1 over 3x. Remember, for you to use rules of differentiation, you must make sure your x is always at the numerator. So if I take x to the top, it becomes minus 1. Now, how do I derive this? You say minus 1 times 1 over 3, it's minus 1 over 3. You say minus 1, you subtract 1 there, because the rule says n minus 1. So minus 1 minus 1, it's minus 2. Then if we take it back to the bottom, the minus 2 becomes positive, which is exactly as this one. Okay, thank you guys. I'll see you next time on the next video. Bye bye.